Hello to everyone under the sound of my voice. Welcome back to the Gigi Report. We have to get into Diddy on trial last week, Jane Doe being on the stand. We just need to wrap up what all happened this past week with Jane Doe's testimony. Also, in this past week, Kanye West showed up to the courthouse and supported Diddy. Young Miami's name came up in Jane Doe's testimony in talks of jealousy and fury and rage. We got to get into all of that. So let's start out first with Kanye West's appearance at the courthouse to support Diddy. Kanye West is actually the first celebrity friend of Diddy to actually show up at the courthouse. I believe that's why everybody is in such a frenzy that Kanye West is here. Not only is Kanye West like a disruptor, somebody who can get the people going on his own, but the fact that he showed up to the courthouse to show in-person support of Diddy is what have people in a frenzy, because nobody has shown up for Diddy. We know all of his famous friends that we're used to seeing him at parties with, at his house with, and things like that. None of those people have showed up yet except for Kanye West. It's also being said that Kanye West is being there for Diddy's kids on the outside financially, as a father figure, just somebody as a support system, family friend, while their father is currently on trial and behind bars. It's also being said by other content creators who are currently at the Diddy trial that Kanye West made a very brief appearance. He wasn't there any longer than 10 minutes, but I believe even him just showing up for a minute or two, even up to 10 minutes, was a big statement to show that he really supports Diddy, has his back, and whatnot. Another big part of last week when it comes to Diddy being on trial was social media trying to break down the identity of Jane Doe. Jane Doe specifically wants to remain a Jane Doe. She wants to be anonymous, but you know social media is full of private investigators who are going to get down to the bottom of people's identities when they want to stay anonymous. Now, I dare not say who social media is suspecting Jane Doe is. However, looking at the picture that I have on the screen, you see a famous rapper that we all know who is questioning the identity of Jane Doe. This person has since deleted this post. Social media believes that this famous rapper tipped off social media on Jane Doe's identity just by this small post of asking, "Hey, does anyone know who Jane Doe is? I'm trying to research this." We also know somebody in close association of this famous rapper who he has dated in the past, who does have a similar description to the drawing that we see from the court records. And on top of that, in Jane Doe's own testimony, she does state that she has one child, and also that her child's father does not get along with Diddy. So putting all those clues together, social media feels as though they have pinpointed the identity of Jane Doe, again, which I dare not say that name. Now, moving on. Another part of Jane Doe's testimony, a big part of Jane Doe's testimony actually, was that she felt the need and the urge to continue to go on with these hotel nights, these freak offs, just because Diddy was paying her rent and was in control of her financially as far as her livelihood and just making sure she had a roof over her head. What came up in the midst of that part of her testimony was a line of questioning around a man that goes by the name of Bear, somebody that she's associated with, who gave her $9,000 at one point in time just because she needed it. She testified and said she didn't do anything with Bear or for Bear in order to get the money. However, Bear was nice enough and kind enough to give her $9,000. I feel as though Jane has a lot of other sources of income outside of Diddy. She talked about being an OnlyFans content creator. She also talks about some of the brand deals that she does via other social media platforms. And when she posts for these other brands on social media, sometimes she can make upwards of $50,000. She talked about making $50,000 at one point in time on OnlyFans. And so her testimony being a lot about Diddy affording her the lifestyle that she's used to is a little bit skewed just because she does have other ways that she is able to make money. Point in case, she has associations with other rich people who give her money from time to time for nothing in exchange. So also inside of Jane Doe's testimony, it came up that she has participated in freak-offs without the presence of Diddy. This other freak-off actually took place with a famous rapper and his girlfriend in Las Vegas. A lot of people on social media are hinting that it could be Kanye West just due to the time frame that Jane Doe is describing, and that being around the same time of Kanye West's wife Bianca's birthday, and placing them also in Las Vegas around that same time frame. People are starting to say it was Kanye West. So let's get into some of the testimony straight from out of the courtroom. Combs' lawyer says, so this rapper, they would record together. He's also an icon in the music industry. Jane says, yes. Garagos, you went to the birthday with the rapper's wife or girlfriend. Did you know Anton traveled with them? Jane says, yes. Garagos, and Mr. Combs knew? Jane says, yes. When Anton was having intercourse with a woman, how many people were in the room? Jane says 7 or 8, just watching. Jane Doe also testified that this rapper was flirting with her. She ended up flashing her breasts in the room, and the rapper said they always wanted to blank her because they had a crush on her for a while. How did you bring up Cabral, also known as Sly? Jane Doe says, they asked if I knew anyone else in the lifestyle. I said yes. At the time, I thought Cabral was a safe and confidential person. That was for the rapper and his partner. Jane Doe says yes. The lawyer asks, how did they know to ask you? Jane Doe says, maybe they just picked up the energy or heard that Sean and I were into the lifestyle. Okay, so despite what Jane Doe was saying about being forced into the lifestyle to keep up with Diddy and his appetite and his desires, it seems that Jane Doe at some point in time would frolic and do things with other people in the lifestyle. She would also introduce them to some of the escorts and male workers that she enjoyed when she was being pleasured and brought them into the other freak-off situations. So that also was very questionable in Jane Doe's testimony. The last thing that I want to get into when it comes to Jane Doe's testimony, and the juiciest thing, is her envy of Young Miami and the attention that she was able to get from Diddy.
That is super ran through and effed all of your friends. That is a text message that Jane Doe said to Diddy when she found out that he took Young Miami to the Chanel store and bought her a bunch of Chanel, because she uploaded it to her Instagram, and apparently Jane Doe was seeing Diddy at the time. She admits she was super pissed. She was jealous. They were seeing each other, and she's like, wait a minute, are you serious? Like, I have to be the freak off girl? I have to be like doing all these debauchery nights with all these male escorts? And then meanwhile, you're like rolling the red carpet out for Young Miami. She admits she was very jealous, very pissed off, and also admits that she misdirected her anger at Young Miami when she should have just been pissed at the diddler.
I do believe as though Diddy's defense team has been able to show that a lot of Jane Doe's testimony against Diddy is charged and is motivated by her envy of Young Miami. Even in her own testimony, she talks about at one point in time threatening to never do a freak off again if Diddy didn't hurry up and come back and get with her. And we all know at that time Diddy was on a birthday trip with Young Miami, but Jane Doe used the enticement of never doing a freak off again in order to get Diddy back where she was. I would love to hear what you all have to say about all of these topics when it comes to the Diddy trial and the facts that came out last week. Please drop down into the comment section and give me your thoughts. Please also like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos on celebrity news, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.